Hey everyone, it's Christy here. Welcome back to her final Word Eat the Place, where the truth doesn't just come out, it cleans house. I received an anonymous email from a woman who proved that no matter how loud a rumor is, reality is always louder. Before we dive into the web of lies she had to untangle, I want to ask you a quick question. Drop a comment below with your city, but tell me, what is the most ridiculous piece of gossip currently floating around your hometown? Is it the local baker, the PTA president? Let's see which city has the juiciest whispers. Make sure you stay tuned until the very end of today's video. Once our protagonist finishes delivering her absolute masterpiece of revenge, I'll be back to share 3 brutal, highly effective psychological strategies on how to completely neutralize anyone trying to weaponize gossip against you. You won't want to miss it. Let's get into it. Sienna, over the microphone, laughing nervously. Can someone get security? This is a private, invite-only launch event. Ma'am, you could just walk onto my set. Naomi stepping directly into the main camera frame, calm, unbothered, looking straight into the lens. Hi, everyone on the live stream. Sienna forgot to mention one tiny detail before you buy her fitness programs. This building, the trademark, and every single piece of equipment you're looking at belong to my corporation. And as of 30 seconds ago, your little idol is officially evicted for fraud. Boys, start clearing the floor. At 63, you learn to read people like architectural blueprints. You see the load-bearing walls of their character, and you instantly spot the foundational cracks. My name is Naomi. For 30 years, I built a commercial real estate empire from scratch. I have survived recessions, cutthroat boardrooms, and predatory partners. I didn't get to where I am by being soft, but I did get here by recognizing true potential. That was my first mistake with Sienna. I met her at a local boutique gym. She was 26, radiating that high-energy, infectious enthusiasm that younger fitness influencers possess. She had 60,000 followers, an incredible work ethic on the gym floor, and a dream. But she had zero capital. She was leasing a cramped, damp basement studio with broken mirrors and faulty ventilation. Yet, when she spoke about her training philosophy focusing on functional, long-term mobility rather than just aesthetic trends, I saw a spark of genuine brilliance. I just want a space where people feel unstoppable, Naomi, she told me over coffee one morning. She looked so earnest, her eyes wide, hands gripping her paper cup. But the banks won't even look at my business plan. They think social media isn't a real asset. I smiled, tasting my tea. I didn't need her social media. I had the physical assets. Banks don't invest in dreams, Sienna. They invest in collateral. I, however, invest in people. Over the next 3 months, we formed a quiet partnership. We created an umbrella corporation, Apex Vanguard Holdings, which I entirely funded and owned. Through this entity, I purchased a prime piece of real estate downtown, a stunning 3-story brick-and-mortar warehouse with floor-to-ceiling windows. I invested $500,000 into top-tier, custom-manufactured European fitness equipment. I hired the interior designers. I secured the permits. The deal was simple, legally binding, and highly generous. Sienna would be the face, the head trainer, and the creative director of the brand, Sienna Pulse. She would receive a handsome salary and a 30% share of the operational profits. But the land, the building, the equipment, and the overarching trademark remained 100% mine until she could officially buy out my shares. To the public, it looked like Sienna's solo miracle. I preferred it that way. I'm a silent partner. I don't need my face on Instagram billboards. When the doors opened, the gym became an overnight sensation. Local celebrities flocked to it. Sienna's follower count skyrocketed from 60,000 to 500,000 in less than a year. She was the golden girl of the fitness community. Every time she saw me walking through the facility, she would run over, hug me, and whisper, "I couldn't have done this without you, Naomi. You're like a second mother to me." I believed her. I truly did. But fame is a strange narcotic. It distorts reality, making people believe they built the mountain they are standing on, completely forgetting who provided the shovel. It started with small things: a skipped weekly financial meeting, a cold, brief text instead of our usual warm catch-ups. Then, the checks for the building's monthly corporate lease started arriving late. When I called her into the private office on the third floor to discuss the arrears, she didn't look at me with gratitude anymore. She looked at me like I was an annoying line item on a balance sheet. "It's just a temporary cash flow hiccup, Naomi," she said, spinning her diamond-encrusted smartwatch around her wrist. "We're investing heavily in the new marketing campaign. You have millions. Why are you stressing me over a few weeks of rent?" "Because structure is what keeps a business alive, Sienna," I said gently but firmly. "The lease isn't optional. It's the law of this ecosystem." She sighed, a sharp, irritated sound, and stood up without another word. As she opened the door to leave, she paused, looking back at me with a cold, unfamiliar calculation in her eyes. "Right. The ecosystem. It'll make sure you get what you're owed." That night, I received an alert on my phone, a notification from a burner account on Instagram, tagging my private personal page. It was a link to a private forum thread. I clicked it, unaware that the ground beneath my feet had just been rigged with explosives. The headline of the forum post read, "The Parasite Exploiting Sienna Pulse." I sat in my dimly lit living room, the glow of the iPad illuminating my face as I read words that felt like pure fiction. The post alleged that an older, wealthy predator named Naomi had systematically manipulated a young, vulnerable fitness influencer. It claimed I had used predatory lending tactics to trap Sienna in an illegal contract, that I was actively stealing 50% of her personal merchandise revenue, and that I had threatened to destroy her career if she ever spoke out. The comments were already a feeding frenzy. Oh my God, I always wondered who that creepy older woman sitting in the back office was. This is literal financial abuse. We need to protect Sienna. Cancel Naomi. Someone find her company and leave 1-star reviews. My stomach dropped, not from fear, but from the sheer, staggering audacity of it. I called Sienna immediately. It went straight to voicemail. I texted her. No response. By the next afternoon, the Whisper Network had graduated into a public execution. Sienna uploaded a 12-minute video to her main channel. She sat on the floor of the gym, wearing no makeup, her eyes artfully reddened. "I never wanted to make this video," she sniffled, looking directly into the camera lens. But sometimes, when you're a young woman trying to build something pure, people with power and money try to colonize your hard work. There is someone, a woman named Naomi, who has been stalking my brand. She bought her way into my circle, stole my proprietary training methodologies, and is now trying to legally hijack my entire life's work. I feel unsafe in my own studio. She stands in the shadows, watching me, demanding money I don't owe her. I'm fighting back, guys. But I need your support. The video racked up 300,000 views in 4 hours. The fallout was instantaneous. My corporate email was flooded with hate mail. My personal phone lines were ringing off the hook with blocked numbers leaving vile, threatening voicemails. "Die, you old hag. Mourn. Leave Sienna alone, you thief. Mourn." Even my corporate Google listings for my real estate firm were hit with hundreds of coordinated 1-star reviews from people who had never even stepped foot in my state. I walked into the gym the following morning to confront her. The moment I stepped through the doors, the front desk staff girls I had personally approved health insurance plans for looked away, refusing to make eye contact. Sienna was in the middle of the turf area, surrounded by a group of her elite trainers. When she saw me, she didn't flinch. Instead, she put on a performance. She took a step back, putting her hands up defensively. "Naomi, please," she said loudly, ensuring every client on the floor could hear her. "I've asked you not to come here. You're making my clients uncomfortable. Please talk to my lawyer." "Your lawyer?" I asked, my voice deadly quiet, keeping my posture perfectly rigid. The one paid for by my corporate stipend? Get out, Naomi. One of her fiercely loyal trainers stepped forward, blocking my path. We know what you did. You're disgusting. Stop harassing her. The entire gym went dead silent. Dozens of eyes were locked on me, some filled with disgust, others with cheap curiosity, holding up their phones to record the interaction. They wanted to see the villain break. They wanted to see an older woman crumble under the weight of public shame. I looked past the aggressive trainer, straight at Sienna. She was hiding a smirk behind her hand, pretending to wipe away a tear. She thought she had won. She thought that by mobilizing a digital mob, she could scare a 63-year-old woman into abandoning her assets just to save her reputation. I didn't argue, I didn't yell, I didn't lower myself to defend my character to a room full of people who had already bought the lie. I simply adjusted my coat, looked Sienna dead in the eye, and smiled. It wasn't a smile of anger. It was the smile of an engineer who realized her opponent had just walked directly into the crushing gears of the machine. "All right, Sienna," I said softly, loud enough for the recording phones to catch it. "Let the lawyers handle it." I turned around and walked out, the whispers burning against my back like cheap fireworks. They had no idea the real show hadn't even begun. Gossip thrives on emotion, but reality relies on documentation. The moment I returned to my office, I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I locked the door, poured myself a glass of scotch, and called my legal team not a standard family lawyer, but a high-powered corporate litigation firm I have kept on retainer for 2 decades. Naomi, my lead counsel Marcus, said as soon as he picked up, "I've seen the videos. This is defamatory gold. We can sue her into the next century." "We aren't just going to sue her, Marcus," I replied, leaning back in my leather chair, watching the city skyline outside. "A defamation lawsuit takes years. It plays out in boring courtrooms. Her followers will just think she's a martyr being suppressed by a wealthy corporate giant. No, she chose a public stage for her theater. I will use her own stage for her execution." Over the next 2 weeks, I kept my head down completely. I let the internet celebrate my cancellation. Sienna posted updates, gloating about how the shadow investor had finally fled and how she was rebranding the gym entirely under her own independent name, Sienna Sovereignty. She announced a massive global livestream event to celebrate the grand relaunch of her flagship location. It was going to be an invite-only gala packed with major fitness influencers, fitness supplement executives, and high-profile journalists. While she spent her days picking out floral arrangements, lighting rigs, and VIP gift bags, my team worked with surgical precision. First, we pulled the ironclad lease agreement for the commercial property. It was held by Apex Vanguard Holdings. The lease explicitly stated that any unauthorized change to the building's branding, structure, or corporate identity without the majority shareholders' written consent constituted an immediate breach of contract, triggering automatic eviction within 10 days of notice. I had sent that notice via certified mail to her empty apartment. She was too busy hosting pre-launch parties to even open her mail. Second, we contacted the trademark office. The name Sienna Pulse and the pending application for Sienna Sovereignty were legally funded and registered under our joint corporate entity, which I controlled. Third, we filed an emergency ex parte injunction for trademark infringement, corporate asset embezzlement, and commercial defamation. Because of the overwhelming, undeniable digital evidence of her bragging about cutting me out and stealing the brand on her public platforms, the judge signed off on the court order within 48 hours. The order granted me the right to seize all physical corporate assets and freeze the business accounts immediately. I also hired a private digital forensics firm to trace the original forum post that started the entire smear campaign. Within 4 days, they delivered a neat, bound report. The IP address used to create the burner account belonged to a laptop registered directly to Sienna's home Wi-Fi network. She hadn't just endorsed the rumors, she had written the script for them. The night before her grand relaunch, I visited the local precinct. I presented the signed court orders, the eviction notice, and the writ of assistance. "We'll have deputies ready to escort you tomorrow morning, Ms. Naomi," the sergeant said, reviewing the stamps on the judicial orders. "Thank you, Sergeant," I said. "Make sure they wear their best uniforms. They are going to be on TV." I went home and slept like a baby. When you have the truth written down in black ink, stamped by the Supreme Court of the state, you don't lose sleep over the opinions of 20-something internet trolls. The morning of the grand relaunch arrived. The weather was crisp, completely oblivious to the storm brewing downtown. Sienna's social media stories were a blur of hyperkinetic energy. 3 hours until the rebirth. Live stream starts at 11:00 a.m. EST. Don't miss the big reveal. She had spent thousands on a professional production crew, complete with 3 roaming cameras, a crane rig, and a live broadcast desk set up right in the middle of the main gym floor. At 10:45 a.m., a black SUV pulled up to the curb a block away from the gym. I sat in the back seat, dressed in a tailored charcoal gray pantsuit, my silver hair pinned up sharply. Behind my vehicle were 2 unmarked moving trucks and a police cruiser. I checked my phone. The live stream had just begun. I clicked on it. The screen showed the gym looking immaculate. White orchids lined the walls, neon signs glowing with her new logo, Sienna Sovereignty. Over 4,000 people were already watching the live feed, the comment section moving too fast to read. Sienna stood in the center, wearing a stunning white athletic outfit, holding a golden microphone, giving an impassioned speech to the crowd of 50 elite guests clapping enthusiastically. "I want to thank everyone in this room," Sienna's voice echoed through my phone speaker. "You stood by me when people tried to tear me down. When an elite, greedy corporate establishment tried to steal my dream, you gave me strength. Today, we prove that authenticity wins. This space is officially ours." The crowd erupted in cheers. "That's our cue," I said to the driver. I stepped out of the vehicle. Behind me, 4 burly moving contractors carrying heavy-duty hand trucks stepped out of the moving vans. Flanking them were 2 uniformed sheriff's deputies, their badges gleaming in the morning sun. We walked down the sidewalk, our footsteps synchronized, a quiet army of cold, hard reality marching toward a castle made of digital sand. As we reached the heavy glass double doors of the gym, the security guard Naomi hired just for the event stepped forward to block us. The deputy on my left simply raised his hand, flashed the court order, and said, "Sheriff's Department, step aside, sir. We are executing a judicial writ." The guard's face turned completely pale. He stepped back, pushing the door open for us. We entered the lobby. The bass from the music was thumping through the floorboards. We walked past the juice bar, right toward the bright studio lights of the main floor. The camera crew was currently panning across the smiling faces of the audience before locking back onto Sienna, who was raising her arms in triumph. Then I walked right into the frame. The shift in the room was palpable. It started with a gasp from an influencer in the front row. Then, the main camera operator's eyes widened as he lowered his shoulder-mounted rig slightly, unsure of what he was seeing. Sienna noticed the sudden drop in the room's energy. She turned around, her fake, dazzling smile still plastered on her face, but it instantly froze when her eyes met mine. Can someone get security?" Sienna said over the microphone, her voice echoing through the high ceilings, laughing nervously. "This is a private, invite-only launch event." "Ma'am, you can't just walk onto my set." I didn't look at her. I walked right past her, positioned myself directly in front of the primary broadcast camera lens, and looked straight down the barrel of the camera. I knew that at this exact moment, over 6,000 people were watching live. "Hi everyone on the live stream," I said, my voice perfectly modulated, calm and conversational. "My name is Naomi. I am the sole owner of Apex Vanguard Holdings. Sienna forgot to mention one tiny detail before you buy her fitness programs or support her new brand. Naomi, stop! Cut the feed! Cut the cameras! Sienna screamed, her face flushing a deep, angry crimson. She lunged toward the production desk, but the second deputy stepped in her path, his hand resting casually on his utility belt. "Don't touch the equipment, ma'am," the deputy said firmly. "Everything in this building is currently under judicial seizure." The audience of influencers let out a collective, breathless gasp. Phones were instantly pulled out, not to record Sienna's triumph, but to document her public demise. I looked back at the lens. This building, the trademark she is trying to use, and every single piece of equipment you see behind me belong entirely to my corporation. Sienna is currently in breach of her commercial lease, guilty of corporate embezzlement, and as of 30 seconds ago, she is officially evicted. "You're lying!" Sienna shrieked, dropping the golden microphone. It hit the turf with a loud, screeching feedback whine that made everyone wince. She ran up to me, her eyes wild, her carefully constructed influencer persona completely disintegrating. "You can't do this. I built this. This is my face, my name." "Your name belongs to the corporation you sold it to for $500,000, Sienna," I said softly, looking down at her. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the bound forensic report. "And as for the parasites and stalker rumors you manufactured online," I handed the document to a prominent tech journalist sitting in the front row, who immediately opened it, his eyes lighting up. "There is the certified forensic proof that the smear campaign originated directly from your personal laptop. You created the lies to try and void your contract." The journalist immediately took a photo of the report pages and posted it to Twitter. Within seconds, the live chat on the screen behind her flipped from hearts and support to absolute chaos. "Oh my God, she faked the whole thing. Sienna is a fraud. Look at her face, she knows she's caught." "Boys," I called out to the moving contractors, completely ignoring her tears. "Start clearing the floor. Take the custom plates, the dumbbells, the sound systems. Every single asset itemized in the court order goes into the trucks." The contractors moved in with mechanical efficiency. They began unplugging the expensive lighting rigs, causing the bright studio lights to flicker and die, leaving only the dull, sterile overhead building lights. They began wheeling out the premium weight racks right in front of the stunned guests. Sienna stood in the center of her ruined set, watching her empire dissolve into the back of a moving van in real time. She looked at her friends, her trainers, her sponsors. One by one, they began picking up their designer bags and quietly slipping out the exit, avoiding her gaze. Nobody wanted to be associated with a sinking ship. I walked up to her one last time, leaned in close, and whispered, "Next time you try to destroy someone's reputation to steal their property, make sure they don't own the roof over your head. Goodbye, Sienna." The aftermath was a total wipeout. Sienna's live stream didn't just get cut. The video of her eviction went completely viral, racking up over 5 million views across various platforms within 48 hours. The very internet mob she had weaponized against me turned on her with twice the ferocity. By the end of the week, she had lost 300,000 followers. Her supplement sponsorships dropped her via public press releases, and her payment processing accounts were permanently frozen due to the ongoing fraud litigation. She tried to issue a classic, tearful apology video a few days later, sitting on a kitchen floor, but the public wasn't buying it anymore. Once people see the raw, unedited truth, a calculated performance never works again. As for me, I rebranded the facility entirely. I hired a brilliant, mature team of certified kinesiologists and physical therapists who actually care about human health rather than Instagram aesthetics. The gym is thriving, operating under its true parent company name, Apex Fitness Holdings. People often think that staying silent when you are being slandered is a sign of weakness. They think you have to run to social media and scream your innocence to anyone who will listen. But I've learned that the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. When people spread rumors about you, don't waste your breath fighting their words. Words are cheap. Instead, focus on the structural truth. Gather your receipts, protect your assets, and let your counterstrike be so total, so absolute, and so legally undeniable that your enemies don't even have a platform left to complain on. My reputation wasn't built by the opinions of strangers online, and it certainly couldn't be destroyed by them. Build your life on solid ground, and no amount of hot air will ever be able to blow it down. Wow. Talk about an absolute masterclass in corporate warfare. Naomi did not just clear the room, she cleared the entire board. What I absolutely love about Naomi's story is that she didn't get dirty rolling around in the mud with Sienna. She let Sienna build her own platform of lies, high enough for everyone to see, so that when the truth hit, the fall was catastrophic. When people use gossip to tear you down, it's almost always driven by deep-seated insecurity and a desire to take what they didn't earn. Here are 3 brutal psychological strategies you can use if someone is spreading rumors about you. The Gray Rock Protocol. Never defend yourself to people who are actively trying to misunderstand you. When Naomi was confronted in the gym, she didn't argue, she didn't yell. Gossip requires your emotional reaction to survive. It feeds on your panic. When you give it absolute cold indifference, the fire starves. The document. Document everything. Do not rely on verbal agreements. If someone is targeting you at work or in your personal life, keep every text, every email, and every timeline recorded. Bullies and liars rely on a lack of clarity. The moment you introduce an undeniable paper trail, their narrative instantly collapses. Weaponize the stage. If someone attacks your reputation publicly, do not settle it privately where they can twist the results. Wait for the right moment, gather your undeniable facts, and present them at the highest point of their visibility. Force them to account for their lies in front of the exact audience they tried to manipulate. Now, I want to hear from you. Look at how quickly Sienna's entire empire vanished because she chose greed over loyalty. Do you think Naomi's public eviction of Sienna was the perfect, justified punishment, or do you think she should have handled it privately behind closed doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get a real conversation going. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Her Final Word, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, keep your receipts ready and always get the last word. Bye.